Again, a very warm welcome to the channel. Today is the fifth installment of academic writing. This is part 5. The topic that I was dealing with considerably. Today is the fifth part, and only one remains. So, we are going to the classifications where you can see these four parts have already done, and this is number 5 that we are going to deal with in this video. So today's video is about structuring an argument, introduction, interjection, and conclusion. Number 5, fifth installment of this whole process of academic writing. Now, before going into the detail of the fifth number, structuring an argument, we have to understand why should student follow a proper structure while writing a research paper. So this may be asked of 2 marks or 5 marks as question, and you have to answer it very carefully. How you are going to deal with it? See, a research paper has a well laid out structure. Since it is not narrative, rather it is descriptive or creative writing, and we have already told it in the earlier videos. So instead an argumentative development of chain of thoughts. So this is something where you get an argumentative development. So there is a chain of thoughts. It is imperative that the student adheres to the structure. So structure is systematic and it is rule bound. So if you are writing an academic writing, you have to follow or maintain structure. In our research paper, the act of writing starts with writing down the research question. Now you can see that I have made highlighted parts, see well laid out structure, argumentative development, research questions, and I have also given different colors to those significant words that may be of your help. So here, research questions, another significant point. This means that there is or are question or questions that the student is trying to address, explore, and answer with conclusion. Remember, this conclusion, the part of conclusion is also significant. Most significantly, there are 3 parts. In the introductory part of the writing, the student foregrounds the thesis. In the exploratory part, arguments both supporting and contesting the thesis are analyzed. And in the conclusion, third and final part, the arguments are summed up and a resolution is proposed. So you have here 3 separate parts that you need to understand: the introductory, exploratory, and conclusion. And in each part, what you have found, I have also made in different colors so that you should not face any problems at all. Now let us move on to then structuring an argument. Today's topic: introduction, interjection, and conclusion. Now, what is introduction? When should one write an intro of a research paper? This is another valuable and valid question that you need to understand. Here, many research supervisors advise the student to write the introduction after the dissertation or the paper has been finished. Now, you have already given here in the bold or in italics or in different font so that you will not face any problem at all in understanding what I mean to say. There are good reasons for that. That why some people, some advisors, some guides try to advise to write introduction after the dissertation or the paper has been finished. When one starts exploring various arguments, the line of thought may not follow the preconceived trajectory and hence may require extensive revision. What it means that you may find interesting aspects later on. You may find your idea or the improvement thoughts later on somehow develop. Naturally, you can write things or materials or ideas later on in your own way. So it will be better if you write introduction later on. Therefore, some guides provide information or rather advise to write introduction after the thesis has been completed. An introduction, whether written before or after the completion of the project, must propose 2 ideas. First, the problem that the paper is going to explore. Second, the material and the methodology. See here, the problem, material, and methodology all are different colors that the student proposes to use in the paper. So these are the aspects, these are the factors, or rather, proposals that one has to follow before writing an introduction, whether it is after completion, whether it is before completion. So, problem, material, methodology. Now, these need evaluation with example or examples. This means that I have already put within second bracket these 2 points. Let us move on to the next slides, where you have a paper, and the name of the paper is Safety of Women in Contemporary India. So here we have a suggestive idea about the safety of women in contemporary India about this topic. Here is the topic, and you can here find written ideas. I'm just reading few lines. Sexual harassment of women in private and public space has been a reality from time immemorial. This is not specific to a particular country or culture. Wherever patriarchy ruled, and it ruled almost everywhere, it has been a reality which was mostly pushed under the carpet. With women being educated in large numbers and claiming their rightful place in the sun, this hard reality has been acknowledged. In India, only in the latter half of the last century, peaceful and powerful peoples movements have brought about legislation to protect the rights of women and grant them a safe working environment. And you have here the bold letter Sexual Harassment of Women Workplace, the Gazette of India on 9 December 2013, publications, etc. So, this is about something where we have the outcome of this passage. And what is the outcome? The follow ups are here. The above mentioned paper focuses on the issues of women's safety in India. Now, you can follow after reading, because I didn't read the complete passage. You can read it and then follow what are the outcomes. The first one is as focuses on the issues of women's safety in India. Second, the initial sentence foregrounds the thesis. Third, the methodology is a discussion of age old cultural issues and people's movements in the field of women empowerment. Next, the material is an act, parliament, and UGC regulation. It has been made clear that the discussion is not legal in nature but concentrates on the sociological and cultural aspects of the problem. These are the following aspects that we can gather from the passage from this paper. So, this is somehow you have to understand that this is an example of introduction. And from this, you can have also this idea that how to build the introductory points. Now, this example has been given through a paper. Now, what about to the answer, written answer? Now, here, therefore, is point to note that if the student is writing an answer to a question, then the approach is different, and it has to be. Because the question is already there, and the introduction in the answer will focus on the background. The material and the methodology is more or less dictated by the question. Naturally, here we have an example. Let us follow it. Discuss Macbeth as a tragedy. Very common question, but how you are going to answer it and how introduction will be formed in case of an answer, that you need to understand. Here, the student may begin with Aristotle's definition of tragedy and go on to discuss how Shakespeare differed in his conceptualization of the dramatic form. Since the key idea is tragedy, the initial sentence can be like this, according to Aristotle, as mentioned in Poetics Book 6. Tragedy then is an imitation of an action that is serious and also having a magnitude, etc. So I have put here dots because you don't need the complete definition of tragedy as given in Poetics chapter 6. So you can begin with this. And finally, it is necessary to remember that hyperbolic praise for the dramatists like the sentences Shakespeare is the greatest dramatist in the world, the masterpiece or genius of the world, or the literary artist, the great literary artist. Such kind of sentences should be avoided because this is not a proper way to begin an answer. Remember always this, that introduction has to be very perfect and to the point. Therefore, rather the student should pay attention to the operative word that defines the scope of the answer. Now I know that what does this operative word suggest? You have perhaps little idea. Now let me make it clear. This operative word suggests that is a word in a sentence that is emphasized or stressed to give the sentence a certain tone, meaning, or connotation. Naturally, you have to understand that you need to follow or you need to search certain words which are very much connected to your topic, that the question you are going to answer. These are called operative words. So just find out the operative words instead of beating around the bush, instead of writing praiseworthy bombastic words. Johnsonian phrases are not allowed here to explain. So this is a very significant point to note, that how you are going to answer in case of the question answer. This is not about paper. This is also about the question and answering. So introduction is this. Next, we are moving to interjection, the second part. Now here, what is it you have to understand? This is the most crucial part of the body of the paper or answer. The thesis that student has proposed in the introduction is studied in detail here, and with reference to the primary and secondary material that she or he has painstakingly collected and wants to use in the paper. So you are collecting your materials laboriously, diligently, and with a lot of efforts. So you have to understand here that the thesis, the materials that you are using in the introduction part, that are here used more specifically, because here your pain must be resolved into something. Here, the important thing is the organization of the ideas, just as I said, and the material that has been collected. So, you have to organize your material, you have to organize your ideas in this part. This is interjection. We will surely give one example for that from paper as well as from the answer. The body must have a well argued point by point presentation of ideas, ably supported by data, information, and textual references. This is an easier sentence, but what you need to understand here is the well argued point by point presentation. So, what is an argument then? There are several methods of developing an argument. The choice of method or methods will dictate the organization of the ideas. So, what kind of method you are using, that will determine your organization of ideas. The method can be definition, classification, and analysis of something. So these are three parts roughly. It can be descriptive details and comparative study, and it can be an argument to prove a point. So here you have certain facts regarding interjection. You have already understood what is interjection. Now it is time to give an example to explain it elaborately. Now, following slides will give you examples where specific methods of definition and analysis are used. Now, here you have a long passage where step by step you have the idea of different aspects. From the very beginning, the student defines patriarchy. So, see here, I have also made for your convenience certain words or phrases or lines in different colors, either, or making distinct for your purpose. Now, in the first paragraph, as you can say, women are largely excluded from exercises of power and authority. The first passage is almost about this. In the second, from mythology, folklore, the Mahabharata, Draupadi was placed as a pawn, and the story of Philomela from Greek mythology. These two parts have taken. On the third, so once they were educated, women protested against all kinds of harassment. So this is the key sentence of the third paragraph. Now, in the number four paragraph, if you follow the Justice Verma Commission and its recommendations, and the UGC has based its regulation on this act, these are the factors that are significant in this passage. Although you have to read each paragraph specifically. If you cannot read, or if you are facing problem reading here, you can follow the source that I'm taking. This is the source, that the introduction to undergraduate English, where you have these passages elaborately and in detail. Now you can follow this, or you can have these ideas that you have in your slides. So in each paragraph, if you are trying to sum up, or if you are allowing interjection to apply into these paragraphs, these are the following points that may be brought into focus. Definition of sexual harassment, how it is different from other kinds of harassment, and whether or not it is culture specific. The Constitution, rights and duties of the Internal Complaints Committee, that is ICC. Don't misinterpret with the ICC, the cricket board, that is responsible for looking into complaints of harassment, the procedure for lodging complaints, the procedure for inquiry, duties of the employer or institution, recommendations of the ICC, and the action that it necessitates, checks and balances in the regulation that are designed and safeguard the interest of all the parties. And lastly, its importance in today's India. So these may be the points that you can fetch from the paragraphs, the earlier paragraphs that just we read few of the sentences. And you may go through all the paragraphs bit by bit because for your necessity, you can do it. Now, these are the points that we have so far gathered. So the following points, which in your own way, you can also gather certain other points. This is not a necessary part. This is not at all an obligation that you only follow only these points. No, this is not. You can build your own. Just these are found in the textbook. These are found in the source. That is why I have brought here in this slide. Now, the exposition of interjection that, as I proposed earlier in the answer to a question, how discuss Macbeth as a tragedy. The first one is like a paper. Now, this one is in the answer, question answer. The same question is here, discuss Macbeth as a tragedy. The student is required to explain one by one all the features of tragedy mentioned by Aristotle. A detailed analysis of Macbeth may be made to show how the mighty fall of a king who later becomes the king creates a tragic spectacle. How a fatal flaw, maybe hubris or error of judgment, hamartia, the vaulting ambition in case of Macbeth's character, in the hero's character, that means the protagonist Macbeth, brings about his fall, and how an emotional purgation of pity and fear is achieved at the end of the play. So, this is all discuss Macbeth as a tragedy and how you were applying interjection into the question. Thereafter, the differences between Aristotelian and a Shakespearean tragedy may be pointed out. In this discussion of differences, suitable examples must be given from Macbeth. So, here you can have the difference or similarity between Aristotelian concept of tragedy and Macbeth's. For example, the difference that the major one most significant difference between Aristotelian concept and Shakespearean concept, the tragic hero, where in Shakespearean concept, tragic hero takes his own fate into his own hand. So it is more like character as destiny. But in the Aristotelian concept of hero, as it is mostly found in direct Greek tragedy, like Oedipus Rex or like Medea, these famous example, Orestean trilogy, there, as it is in the case for Oedipus Rex, there the hero's fate is previously fixed. It is prefixed. A modern version of this you can find in the movie called The Amir, where the fate is already fixed from the beginning. So this is a major difference where the hero's fate is fixed from the beginning and hero is taking his own ideas into his own hand so that what will happen it is only his responsibility, just like in Macbeth's case that his vaulting ambition makes him killing Duncan. So he kills Duncan because he wants to be a king. His vaulting ambition give him rest at all. So this is the basic differences, or you may find some other differences too, but you have to follow. This is the way. For example, Shakespeare never maintained the unity of time, and Macbeth is no exception. It may be argued that Shakespeare created his own type of tragedy. The quality of the answer can be enhanced with examples from other tragedies written by Shakespeare. You can bring back Hamlet, you can bring Othello, King Lear, together with Macbeth. And for this resource, you can read Jewel's Knights, written materials, and other modern materials where you have these ideas too. Moving next to the third part, the conclusion. Just like your introduction, just like your interjection, you have here your conclusion. Now you have to understand as well what is it. This is the final part of writing. Here, the student is expected to sum up the argument or analysis that has been presented in the main body. It must repeat the initial thesis, may recapitulate in brief the major arguments, and come to a resolution that may vindicate the thesis or even refute it. So there is possibility that you are vindicating your own thesis, or if you are refuting your own thesis by recapitulating the idea, or maybe a repetition of the same idea. You can do it, and this is the conclusion part. Conclusion to the Paper, the two examples from a paper, from a question. So, conclusion to the paper, it is said that the conclusion, the paper that has been cited as an example, may be presented in this way. It is clear from the above discussion. You may write in this way. This is just an example. This is a way that I'm showing, and that you may find in the textbook prescribed for you. So, this is just a way of expression. This is just an example that you may write in that way. It is clear from the above discussion that a strong and effective mechanism to deal with cases of sexual harassment in workplaces is the need of the hour. It is hoped that the Act and the regulation will provide the much needed institutional support and go a long way towards obtaining such offense. So, this is the conclusive part, the final part of writing where you are recapitulating everything. And now, conclusion to the question that Macbeth as a tragedy, it may be in the following note. Macbeth, though it does not follow all the rules of classical tragedy, it is an artistic success, as Shakespeare has been able to hold the imagination of the audience contemplating a great fall, a poetic hero, a sense of loss, and finally a reconciliation of the ideas of sin and punishment. So you are giving details in a very short version. You are creating an impression where the readers will get a different idea. Somehow they may connect your idea, that means what you are putting on the conclusion, that idea with the main answer, or may not find that at all. That because you may refute at the end in the conclusion part that this is not something that I want to propose to you. So, in case of conclusion, or whether in case of paper, whether in case of question or answer, it is your idea to recapitulate it or repeating it or coming to a resolution, that you need to come to a resolution point, and where you have to give a satisfactory level to the readers. It may also be a different way, or it may be done also in a different way. It is not at all a certified fact that you have to give the satisfaction to the readers. The highest form of literature is always where you are creating a confusion. You are creating something that the readers may think all the time. It may remain as open ended. You are giving opportunity to the readers think. So this maybe you can use, or this may be used in the part of conclusion. So these are the three parts that you have to understand about the argument section. Now, moving on to the last part, the questions. I have already suggested certain questions. Few are taken from the text or the resource, few are given from me. So, what is the purpose of the introduction and how is it presented? It may be asked of 5 marks, it may be asked of 15 marks. What is the purpose of the conclusion and how it is presented? What are the strategies of development of a research paper? What are the methods used in structuring an argument? How is a research paper developed through argument? How is the answer to a question developed through argument? Now, this question number 6 is slightly different from the question number 5. In case of question number 5, you have to go on in detail. But in case of question number 6, you just have to answer part. How is the answer to a question developed through argument? Why should students follow a proper structure while writing a research paper? Point out the traits of introduction, giving examples from paper and answer. That means you have to put one example from the paper section and another example from the answer section that is meant here. And the last one is explain the process of interjection with proper examples. So this may be asked for 15 marks. What you have on your left side, the questions, and on the right side, you have the marks. So it may be for your convenience, it will become easier to you how to prepare, what prepare. Moving on to the last part, the source that I have always presented for you. This is the source. You can read it. You can go on, or you can visit to my channel. You can check the video that I have just sharing with you. And sincerely, thank you all. After watching this video till to the end, what can I say? Stay healthy and safe. This is my heartiest wish. Till the next part, that means the last part of the installment, number 6. Till that part comes, please stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you very much.